Hey everybody. A little bit of change. I got to do something here. Alrighty, there on your screen you can see the latest update. Still, the Cat 3, 115 mile per hour, still 970 millibar. But notice the direction changed. Instead of northwest, it now west northwest at 9 miles per hour. So it slowed down again. Hey, Skywarn, back. Patrick, Patty, Radio Geek, and everybody else that's watching. Get these viewer counts up. I want to get more of this out to everybody. Not only that, I need to get 75 people average watching so I can make one of my goals. That will help me become partner here on Twitch. Thanks for the host there, Lisa. So a little bit of change on the cone. Get you to that. Not a whole great big change here. I'll blow it up for you for those using their cell phones. Now, to tell you the truth, the main area of this cone that I am really starting to pay close attention to is going to be up to that point. And the rest of this there's just way too much uncertainty. Now they are having it now close to Daytona Beach, 2 o'clock Tuesday afternoon at Cat 4. Hey, Michelle. So that's 140 mile per hour wind with possible wind gust to 165. Now there is a chance that it can make Cat 5. Too early to tell. Notice these red lines here. That is now hurricane warnings and part of the Bahama Islands. So already they're getting warnings out. I do believe that sometime, possibly yet today, they will start issuing watches along the Florida coast. Now, as far as down here, I think that's right around Daytona Beach, up to this top point. That's part of the cone. There's some uncertainty yet. I mean, some of the models still have it going to the coast. And I tell you what, this latest update on not only the Euro, but the GFS. Let's look at GFS first, because I want to save. Yeah, Big D, you'll get that sometimes. Even on Twitch, sometimes the notifications are late. That's the reason why I try to tell everybody what time I'm going to be on. So let's look at the GFS. And let me play this to get it all loaded up. Watch that down there in the bottom right. Hey, Tim. Goes in just a little and then follows that coastline and then goes away. But I tell you what's interesting, And I just found this out a little bit ago. Let's look at the euro. This kind of concerns me a little bit. The euro doesn't have it making landfall in Florida now. That means that the models might be suggesting, and I'll pause this, that this high pressure ridge is not going to be as strong as they thought. And if that's the case, it'll draw it north. And look at there, it's not even making landfall. Zoom in on it for you. Going to be off the coast. Now that's not written in stone, because the next model run, it may put it back over Florida again. But watch that go up, right up the coast. So the biggest concerns, like I say, let me get that page back up. We still have this area, by the way. It's still a 30% over 5 days coming off the coast of Africa. We won't worry about that right now. But that could be the next one. We'll have to wait and see. But my biggest concern, like I say, is this part of the cone. This main part of the cone has more consistency at this point, where the rest of the cone to the north is too much uncertainty, too many errors in it. Now, according to this, Port St. Lucie is real close to the center of the cone. It could still go anywhere in this cone, and notice the cone is kind of extended more out over the Atlantic. So there's still a possibility that it could go up that coast like the Euro's showing. By the way, I got information for the airport at Orlando. They're going to shut down. No commercial flights. They're going to be shutting down at 2 a.m. Monday morning. So let's go ahead and take a look. By the way, this is that area to watch off the coast. I got to keep an eye on that one. So let's go back over here to Dorian. This is the infrared. Let me see if I can still get visible satellite. It's probably starting to get dark out there. Looks pretty much the same. Yeah, I've got some daylight yet. Starting to lose daylight, so it won't be long. I'll be losing visible satellite. By the way, if my stream happens to go down, don't worry. I've got some thunderstorms in my area. And where I live at, the power tends to go out if somebody sneezes. Hang on. Come on in. Or is the door locked? Oh, you got out. My son just walked in. I mean, some of the models still has it going right up the spine of Florida on some of the ensembles. Becky says hi. He says hey. Finally got him out of the hospital. So that's basically it for right now. Again, for the new people joining me, this is the latest information that came out of the National Hurricane Center at 5 o'clock. It's still Cat 3, 115 mile per hour winds. The pressure's still the same, 970 millibars, but it has changed direction to west-northwest and slowed down to 9 miles per hour. Next update will be 8 o'clock. I will go live at 8 o'clock again, naturally. And the cone has shifted slightly with hurricane warnings now down in part of the northwest Bahamas. Let me switch scenes here. Here's the latest cone for new people watching. Hey, 50 viewers on Twitch. Come on, people. But notice this cone has gotten wider to the east. So, but for the new people joining me, like I was saying a little bit ago, my biggest concern of this cone is really this section. It's more consistent so far today. This area up here is just so many uncertainties, so many errors in the models. So I'm not going to worry about that part just yet. Hey, hi, Sean. Let's see what else I can get for you. Let's take a look and see if there's any new recons heading out. Yes, there is one flying out of Florida. He just took off from their base there outside of Tampa, headed that way. Patty says hi. I was wondering who come in that taxi. I've never seen that taxi before. Oh, did he? But not a whole lot of change, which I kind of thought there might be a little bit more of that cone change because this was a major update. Now the 8 o'clock will just be an intermediate, and the next main update will be 11 o'clock tonight. Now I'm talking Eastern time, and I will be sure to go live for each one of those. I don't think I'll do the 2 in the morning because that'll only be an intermediate. Basically, they might change a little bit of the actual data. I do believe it does have a possibility of making Cat 4 sometime tonight. See if they updated the spaghetti models. No, this has not been updated. Look at that green one. They've got it crossing over Florida, going into the Gulf, swinging around to the south, and then go out to sea. Ain't that a goofy looking one? I wouldn't trust that one. That's the Tab 5. Now, tomorrow, or maybe even later tonight, I'll start looking at the new NAM and see what it says. We can go ahead and take a gander at it, but I don't think it goes far enough out. And the closer it gets, the more models that I'll start using. At some point, I'll even start using the HRRR, which is a high res resolution model. Yeah, this has it getting close to Florida, but it doesn't go out far enough in time. It will later tonight. So I'll show that some more at 11 o'clock. Again, here's the latest Euro. And the latest Euro doesn't even making it come on shore. Let me try something here. See if I can zoom in on this for you. Look at that. It's not even coming on shore with that particular model run. Yeah, Gavin. We totally rely, when we're chasing severe weather, we totally rely, for the most part, the HRRR on the day the night before and during the day of a chase. Nathan, by the way, he's driving to the airport. He's getting ready to fly down. I was just talking with him a little bit ago. Is sound like Jennifer is in her car and on her way. Wackadoodle track. That's good, Debbie, over on YouTube. I've never heard a storm track called a wackadoodle. So there you have it, guys. You got any questions? Let's take a look at the infrared. Let it load up here. Getting a really cool eye. Look at that swirl. The darker colors swirling around that eye. Hey, Tim. Thank y'all. Ain't that cool? Do I think it'll be better or worse if it stays offshore? Well, it depends on how far offshore it is. Your main hurricane strength winds is going to be around that eye wall, where, if it stays further offshore, they may only get the tropical storm force winds instead of the 140 mile per hour winds. So yeah, it would be a lot better. They're still going to have really bad storm surge, even if the eye is offshore. But look how big this thing is, and right now, is streaming yet? You talking about Nathan? No, Nathan's not streaming yet. As far as I know, I haven't got a notification of it. He's headed for the airport, and nobody's down there yet. They're getting on their way. I haven't heard from Michael Koch or Kyle yet. I'll let you know on my broadcast when somebody starts streaming. Sean, you down there? No, you're fine. But Go back to visible here while I still got some daylight. Man, this thing's getting stronger all the time. They're even invisible. You can see how the thunderstorms are just streaming towards the core as it goes around. Beautiful eye. You can see down to the ocean quite a bit. I don't like the fact that it's slowed down because it's going to get stronger. There is still a chance it could make Cat 5. The actual landfall that they have forecasted now is 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. The tropical storm force winds will get there a lot sooner. Like I was going to say a little bit ago, the wind field on this thing is about 100 miles from center. So they'll start feeling tropical storm force winds sometime later tonight here in the Bahamas. Now let's take a look. Let's go back to the cone. And let me turn on the earliest reasonable arrival time of the tropical storm force winds. And Saturday night at 8 o'clock, tomorrow night, it'll be hitting the Bahamas. And it looks like 8 o'clock Sunday morning, somewhere around there, the tropical storm force winds will be approaching Florida. The upper level winds, you talking about shear? There is no shear. There's no shear in the way of this thing, if that's what you're talking about. Okay, it's finally let me turn on the past track. Zoom in on this. Now these green dots, that's when it was only a tropical wave. And here it was the tropical depression. And it didn't stay that way long. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're bathtub waters, man. About where it's at right now, the water temps are up in the 80s. And the closer it gets to Florida, the warmer it gets. So I call it bathtub waters. There you can see the past track. Oh, the steering winds. That's what the model is starting to have trouble with, is the high pressure ridge hasn't really come into play yet. And we'll go back and take a look where that low is. West southwest of the hurricane is where that upper level low, and it looks like it's starting to get weaker. About right in there. Now, like I've been saying, for all you new people that's watching, there's going to be, I'll zoom out here. There's going to be a high pressure ridge that's going to build. How strong is it? We don't know yet. It's going to be about right in there. That's helping to shove it west. If it's weak, then maybe the eye won't go on shore. A weak high pressure system would allow this thing, and I'll pause it here, will allow this thing to go up around that high and not even come on shore. A real strong high is going to have it coming on shore. So we gotta just wait and see how that's going to interact. This low is steadily uh, moving towards Cuba. As that moves away, then that keeps it from being pushed up to more northern Florida. So apparently they're thinking this low is going to weaken. Let me put that back on. Right around in there somewhere. And so that's the main two items that's going to steer this thing. Remember, lows turn counterclockwise, highs turn clockwise. So this thing is going to squeeze in between those two, and the strength and the positioning of either one of those is going to determine where this thing goes. Apparently, the Euro is thinking that high ridge, the high pressure ridge, is going to be weaker than what they were thinking originally. But they do still have it making landfall on the center of the cone anyway. Around Tuesday afternoon, somewhere around Port St. Lucie, and it's going to be a Cat 4 is what they're thinking right now. Yeah, Big D, it's slowed down to 9 miles an hour, but it's moving west-northwest. So it's starting to make that turn. So apparently that low is either weakening or it's moving far enough away to allow it to really start making that turn. Does it keep going west-northwest? We don't know yet. I hope it don't go due west. But irregardless whether this thing goes onshore or offshore, Florida's still going to get some damaging winds. You know, like I say, they're talking like 100 mile per hour winds, or not 100 mile per hour, 100 miles from center is the edge of the tropical storm force winds. So we're still going to have some really strong winds all up and down the coast, even if it stays offshore. There's the latest cone. Now that is directly from National Hurricane Center. And so is the information that I let you guys know as far as strength and motion and that. We're in Florida. Do you personally think it will make landfall? It's too early to tell. I mean, it may not even make landfall. When will watches be posted? They're talking about maybe later tonight. Florida might have some watches starting to pop up. Now, I haven't been checking the evacuation zones yet on those web pages, but I'll be doing that for the next update. Where do I think? I dare say, as of right now, it's so up in the air. I mean, the GFS has it barely making landfall. Euro is saying it's not going to make landfall. Irregardless, most of Florida is going to be affected, and same way with Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. I don't think. Let's Fort Nassau. Oh, that wasn't it. Doggone it. I know I should have saved that. They got one that's headed down there. Got a recon headed out right now. Yes, earlier today they had two or three of them down there. Yeah, it's still a guessing game. It really is. I didn't uh, save that website from earlier. Doggone it. Here we go. Now, if you use this website, be sure and turn off your ad blocker or it won't work. Why do we tend to trust the European model? Because time has proven that it's more accurate than the GFS. Well, tell me that camera just went offline. Oh, got a commercial. Yeah, when this thing really starts getting close to NASA and that, I'll really be watching this webcam. There we go. Now there was two cruise ships there. That one's still there. That's one of the Carnival cruises, but the other one's gone. Again, if you guys would like to see this, I'll post it here in the chat. Turn off your ad blocker. And that's the Port Nassau webcam. You can see the clouds really starting to flow in there from what it looked like earlier. Now these has been in there in Nassau, and now what I was saying yesterday is the cruise ships that was headed for some of the other islands, down there in the British and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those are the ones that diverted and went somewhere else. These has come to Nassau because yesterday, wasn't nowhere near it. They wasn't sure how it was going to track. But now that it's headed right for that area, this one will be gone for long. They'll have to get it out of there because, Cat 3 or Cat 4 winds, even as big as that ship is would tear it up. They got to get it out of there. Yeah, when it comes to this tropical weather, I go to Euro first. It's been the most accurate, and it's time proven. Over the last several years that I've been doing this, I had personally learned that I could trust it more than I could the GFS. But what you'll notice there as you watched my last several updates is that the GFS is coming real close to saying the exact same thing as the Euro. And that's what happens every time. Especially like here a couple months ago, Hurricane Barry down there in the Gulf. The GFS didn't have it doing anything. Right now, if it does make landfall, I'm being asked on YouTube. Projected time of landfall is 2 p.m. Tuesday. Yes, if it slows down, it'll get even more intense and a lot stronger. The longer it can stay over the warm waters. Now remember, the warm waters is the fuel for this thing. So the more time that it spends over water, the stronger it's going to get. Especially since now there's no winch here in the way, and there's no dry air out ahead of it. So there's nothing to stop it. Nothing to stop it at all. So that's why I don't like it slowing down, and that bothers me. I'll know more tomorrow, naturally. So, folks, that's all I have for right now. My son just stopped by. He just got out of the hospital. So I need to talk with him. So if y'all wouldn't mind, uh, I'll go ahead and call it for now. And let me switch back over here. Yeah, he's okay. I don't know. They let him out, so I got to find out. I got to see what's going on with him. Uh, I'd rather not talk about it on the stream. So thanks everybody for joining me. Let me spend some time with my son, and I will be back at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So a little over 2 hours. I'll come back on. So thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next broadcast. I got to get more coffee.